I want to hear if anybody had any thoughts about anything during the week before we jump in.
Oh, well, I read the sheet that you sent us, Annie, and wow, that really gave me a lot of new ideas about that first speech, because there's so many commas with Gonzal's speeches. And then I love what you said about how Regan, she comes in and there's hardly any commas.
Yes.
You know, that she's had time to sort of watch her sister. Oh, okay, I'm going to say this.
Yes.
I just gives you these delicious little mini moments that really bring the spontaneity of it alive.
Yes. Yeah.
Because every time I've seen Gonzalo give the speech, it's always been very polished, as if she had planned it out beforehand. And I said, oh, that makes it so much more fun to play. Like, damn, I should have said this. Oh, no, it's too late. I said that.
This
Right.
way.
Right. That they're all thinking on their feet in order to get it done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And as an observer, that's such an enjoyable moment where you see a character like actively making up something in the moment.
On the spot.
Yeah.
So I've never seen it done that way. And I just thought, oh, that's so great.
I mean, most of the time you go to a Shakespearean production and it's like actors making speeches at each other.
Yes, exactly.
It's not human beings talking to each other, you know, communicating something, feelings, thoughts, you know, about the circumstance they find themselves in. And that's what I love about Shakespeare, because it's almost like watching those characters walk tightropes. You know, there's a danger to it. It's not comfortable and easy and secure. It feels dangerous. The whole event feels like something's at stake, and it's dangerous what these people are doing and saying to each other.
I like to believe that each line gives birth to the next line. So that if you don't have those men keeping the watch in Hamlet who say who's there, you don't have a Hamlet, because that's where the play begins. And that first question calls for an answer. So now we have two actors talking to one another, as opposed to playing, so who's there? Nay, answer me. You know, and they do a kind of soldier act because they think everybody's waiting for Hamlet. But if you play the play, and you'll see the communication takes place right from the beginning. I believe the only truth on stage is the truth between two actors, or one actor and other actors. That's the only truth. So you can fight all you want about this is what this means. Hamlet was a man who couldn't make up his mind. Hamlet was this, Hamlet was that. It doesn't matter, because what the audience sees and gets is the truth of a moment of life between two actors. That's it. Because they know they live. They don't need us to teach them about being human. They are. And so what we have to do is reflect that truthfully.
Hold the mirror up.
Yeah. Say it again, I didn't hear.
Hold the mirror up. Like
Yes, that's right. So
I just want to jump. Yeah, sorry. I just want to jump in very quickly, and then I'll disappear so you guys can keep the discussion going. But I don't want to hold anything up. Just administratively, I want to thank one of our newest patrons, Frank, for helping us, continue to do all this. So thank you, Frank, and thank you all the other patrons that are covering all the production costs and things like that. So that's it. Have a great session, and I'll be listening in, and I'll hope to check back at the end. So, but have a great time.
Thanks,
Okay.
Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
Take care.
yeah, so that folio, and the reason I sent it is because these little rules, that follow it, people end up taking notes to kind of remember all of it. So I thought, well, if I just gave it to you on paper, then you'd at least have that. And the thing about the folio is that it's basically an interpretive tool. It's not meant to say, this is the way you must do it. It's just to unlock an idea, unlock the imagination. Randy, do you want to just spend a little bit of time telling how we came across the folio with Lorraine Bell?
Well, I had an older actress friend of mine in Hawaii, and when I first did Hamlet in Hawaii, she said, you might want to look at this book that I've had for years and years and see whether it's useful. Well, I opened it up and I had never seen a text like that where words were capitalized in the middle of a sentence, and periods were infrequent, or certain spellings were longer than the normal way of spelling a word. So I pointed it out to Annie, and we began just experimenting. What if you hit that capitalized word a little harder? Would it help the sense of what's being said? And sure enough, it became very helpful. Then we later found out that there's such a thing as rhetorical punctuation and grammatical punctuation.
Right.
Two separate things. The rhetoric punctuation is to help the speaker. Grammatical is to help the reader. So what we have in Shakespeare in the folio is rhetorical punctuation to help the actor, because those actors didn't have much time to prepare these things. They maybe had 2 weeks to put a new play into their rep. So they had to find as many shortcuts as they could. And one of them was the punctuation that was given to them with their scripts to help them, to be helpful.
And they had no director, so that that text becomes a direction, the director in some ways. This is why I think last week when I left on my high note of drama, the thing I wanted to say is that it's not my intention to be disrespectful to directors. I mean, Randy and I have worked with some wonderful, wonderful directors, but my trouble comes when you look at Shakespeare, there was no director. The play was the director. And because we're so used to modern theater having that director put a stamp on it or a concept on it, we try to put that onto a Shakespearean play, and sometimes at the expense of not doing the play, but doing the concept. Yeah. And so what I ask for when I go to see a Shakespearean play is more of the play. I find that the play gets, there's several productions right now, Romeo and Juliet out there, and 3 of them have Romeo go up on the balcony in the balcony scene. And that can't be. That's not the play. Well, I mean, that's their play. But Romeo can't go up on that balcony. The whole point of it is they need to come together. The electricity between those 2 people wanting to touch and hold and physically love is the distance between them, him on the ground and her in her balcony. So why would you do Act 3 in Act 2? So it's not the play. Now, it's fine for somebody to say, well, I don't care, it's my idea. I get it. Okay, fine. I think you should just know the play you're doing. Then you can do whatever you want. I mean, that's your prerogative. But there's so many things in the play that are so rich and so wonderful for actors to play that sometimes it gets lost in the midst of the stamp that needs to be put on it. And the folio, I think, is a wonderful actor tool, because you look at that folio and you see a capital letter in the middle of a sentence. And I'll give you one example. If let's say we were sitting together and one of us had a bottle of water, and I knock that bottle of water and I would say, oh, Jeannie, a shoe. I'd want the energy to end on shoe. And so how would I notate that in a script? Well, I put a capital S on it because that's where the hit has to come. There's a wonderful book called Shakespeare's Producing Hand. It was written by Dr. Richard Flatter. And he had to translate Hamlet into German. And so, of course, the words are just not the same. I mean, that was stupid. But I mean, when you're translating, one German word may take the place of 3 English words or vice versa. So he was trying to figure out how to choose the right German word. Well, he found that when he looked at the folio, the punctuation taught him how to do that, because he was able in the translation to say on a colon, the energy moves forward. And the word that would be, this verb would be better than this verb to express that. And so he started to do a study of the folio, and the book is wonderful. He's come up with many, many moments that we take for granted. Kind of, Jeannie, the moment I told you about Goneril with the two little absent beats, you know, before she tells Lear how much she loves him. He found that with a period or a colon, where a modern text would, a scholar would say, or a grammatician would say, no, Shakespeare is just too great a writer to have a run-on sentence. And so all of a sudden, colons and commas become periods, because that would be an accurate sentence. But that's not the point. The point is, as we speak and we get excited, we never stop to think, oh, I'll put a period here. And that's what puts energy under it. That's what, in some cases, can even tell you what's happening. What, Rand?
Surprise.
Yes.
Keep the audience on their at the edge, on the edge of their seats. What's going to be said next? What's going to be done next? You know, there's no complacency in watching a Shakespearean play on both the actors' parts and the audience. They're engaged in an exciting story.
Yeah.
So
all of this is to say that when we look at the punctuation, we will look at it. I won't take, the session would be much too long to actually instruct you on how to use it. As we move along, I'll point out certain things, you know, according to that paper that I sent you, that may just clarify why something is a comma, or what's happening on a colon, that kind of thing. The one punctuation that I do love, believe it or not, is the period. There are very few of them, but when they happen, I used to ask my students, what is a period? And they would say an end of a thought, end of a sentence. And I said to them, look, there's no end until the big end, when you die. So if you have 5 or 6 periods in a play, something else has to happen there. And what I've learned over the years is that that period is the place at which I check in with the person I'm speaking to see if they got it, to see if I've changed their minds, to see if they will react. And if not, if that period comes and I still have things to say, that tells me I'm going to have to change a tactic here, or continue stronger on, it doesn't mean end. And so many times people end on a period and we get a long pause, but it's not so much about that as, again, a time for two actors to connect. And we'll see more of that as we go through. What I would like to do is have you guys do the scene again, because then we can see where we're at and then go back over, you know, some stuff. I did a lot of research again this week about some of the circumstances that I want to throw your way, things to think about. But we'll look at the folio punctuation. But if we could just read it, or act it.
Was that the very first scene?
This is the scene that we're doing. This is I'm glad to see your highness, starts there.
glad to see you both.
Oh, when we're professing our love for him, or is
No, later on.
Later on. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is when Lear goes to Gloucester's to try to find his daughter Regan, right? The confrontation with the two daughters.
Oh. Yeah. When they say you can't have as many nights.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know that stripping process.
Let's see. Oh, where?
Starts with good morrow to you both.
Yes, I'm scrolling through. I'm using the one that you sent me, Annie, this time.
Yeah.
So it's 45. Oh, no, I'm at the end. Every inch a king, that life's a miracle. Oh, is this? Here's the place. Oh, here it is. Yes, I've got it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize there was a lot more to this than just the scene we're doing. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Good morrow to you both.
Hail to your grace.
I am glad to see your highness.
Regan, I think you are. I know what reason I have to think so. If thou shouldst not be glad, I would divorce me from thy mother's tomb, sepulchring an adulteress. Beloved Regan, thy sister's not. Oh, Regan, she hath tied sharp-toothed unkindness like a vulture here. But thou wouldst not believe with how depraved a quality. Oh, Regan.
I pray you, sir, take patience. I have hope you less know how to value her desert than she to scant her duty.
Say, how's that?
I cannot think my sister in the least would fail her obligation. If, sir, perchance she have restrained the riots of your followers, 'tis on such ground, and to such wholesome end, as clears her from all blame.
Oh, my curses on her.
Sir, you are old. Nature in you stands on the very verge of his confine. You should be ruled and led by some discretion that discerns your state better than you yourself. Therefore, I pray you that to our sister you do make return. Say you have wronged her.
But ask her forgiveness? Do you but mark how this becomes the house? Dear daughter, I confess that I'm old. Age is unnecessary. On my knees, I beg that you'll vouchsafe me raiment, bed, and food.
Sir, no more. These are unsightly tricks. Return you to my sister.
Never, Regan. She hath abated me of half my train. Looked black upon me, struck me with her tongue most serpent-like upon the very heart. All the stored vengeances of heaven fall on her ingrateful top. Strike her young bones, you taking airs, with lameness.
Fly, sir, fly.
You nimble lightnings dart your blinding flames into her scornful eyes. Infect her beauty. You fen-sucked fogs drawn by the powerful sun to fall and blister.
Oh, the blessed gods! So will you wish on me when the rash mood is on.
No, Regan. Thou shalt never have my curse. Thy tender hefted nature shall not give thee o'er to harshness. Her eyes are fierce, but thine to comfort and not burn. I mean, 'tis not in thee to grudge my pleasures, to cut off my train, to bandy hasty words, to scant my sizes, and in conclusion to oppose the bolt against my coming in. Thou better knowest the offices of nature, bond of childhood, effects of courtesy, dues of gratitude. Thy half of the kingdom hast thou not forgot, wherein I thee endowed?
Good sir, to the purpose.
Tuck it.
Who put my... Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, tuck it.
Oh. Who put my man in the stocks?
What trumpets that?
I know, to my sisters. This approves her letter that she would soon be here. Is your lady come?
Ah, this is a slave, whose easy borrowed pride dwells in the sickly grace of her he follows. Out, varlet, from my sight!
What means your grace?
Who stalked my servant? Regan, I have good hope thou didst not know on it. Who comes here? Oh, heavens. If you do love old men, if you yourselves are old, make it your cause. Send down and take my part. Art not ashamed to look upon this beard? Oh, Regan, wilt thou take her by the hand?
Why not by the hand, sir? How have I offended? All's not offense that indiscretion finds, and dotage terms so.
Oh, side, you're too tough. Will you yet hold? How came my man in the stocks?
I set him there, sir, but his own disorders deserved much less advancement.
You? Did you?
I pray you, father, being weak, seem so. If till the expiration of your month you will return and sojourn with my sister, dismissing half your train, come then to me. I am now from home, and out of that provision which shall be needful for your entertainment.
Return to her? And 50 men dismissed? No, rather I abjure all roofs, and choose to wage against the enmity of the air, to be a comrade with the wolf and owl, necessity's sharp pinch. Return with her? Why, the hot-blooded France, that dowerless took our youngest born, I could as well be brought to knee his throne, and squire like pension beg to keep base life afoot. Return with her? Persuade me rather to be slave and sumpter to this detested groom.
At your choice, sir.
I prithee, daughter, do not make me mad. I will not trouble thee, my child. Farewell. We'll no more meet, no more see one another. But yet thou art my flesh, my blood, my daughter, or rather a disease that's in my flesh, which I must needs call mine. Thou art a boil, a plague sore, an embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood. But I'll not chide thee. Let shame come when it will. I do not call it. I do not bid the thunder bear shoot, nor tell tales of thee to high judging Jove. Mend when thou canst. Be better at thy leisure. I can be patient. I can stay with Regan, I and my 100 knights.
Not altogether so. I'd look not for you yet, nor am provided for your fit welcome. Give ear, sir, to my sister, for those that mingle reason with your passion must be content to think you old, and so, but she knows what she does.
Is this well spoken?
I dare avouch it, sir. What 50 followers? Is it not well? What should you need of more? Yea, or so many? Sith that both charge and danger speak against so great a number, how in one house should many people under 2 commands hold amity? 'Tis hard, almost impossible.
Why might not you, my lord, receive attendance from those that she calls servants, or from mine?
Why not, my lord? If then they chance to slack ye, we could control them. If you will come to me, for now I spy a danger, I entreat you to bring but 25. To no more will I give place or notice.
I gave you all.
In good time you gave it.
Made you my guardians, my depositaries, but kept a reservation to be followed with such a number. What, must I come to you with 25? Regan, said you so?
And speak not again, my lord, no more with me.
Those wicked creatures look well favored when others are more wicked, not being the worse, stand in some rank of praise. I'll go with thee. Thy 50 yet doth double 25, and thou art twice her love.
Hear me, my lord. What need you 25, 10, or 5 to follow in a house where twice so many have a command to tend you?
What need 1?
Reason not the need. Our basest beggars are the poorest things superfluous. Allow not nature more than nature needs. Man's life is cheap as beast. Thou art a lady. If only to go warm were gorgeous, why, nature needs not what thou gorgeous wearest, which scarcely keeps thee warm, but for true need. Oh, You heavens, give me patience, patience I need. You see me here, you gods, a poor old man, as full of grief as age, wretched in both. If it be you that stirs these daughters' hearts against their father, fool me not so much to bear it tamely. Touch me with noble anger, and let not women's weapons water drops stain my man's cheeks. No, you are natural hags. I will have vengeance on you both, all the world shall. I will do such things, what they are yet, I know not, but they shall be the terrors of the earth. You think I'll weep? No, I'll not weep. This heart shall break into 100,000 flaws, or ere I'll weep. Oh, fool. I shall go mad.
And let's just take it to the end while we're here. Let us withdraw.
Let us withdraw. 'Twill be a storm.
This house is little. The old man and his people cannot be well bestowed.
'Tis his own blame hath put himself from rest, and must needs taste his folly.
For his particular, I'll receive him gladly, but not one follower.
So am I purposed.
Where is my Lord of Glow?
Does that mean?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No,
just keep, we're gonna go to the, oh, you don't have it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Annie. I realized as we were reading it that I'm missing some lines.
Oh, okay,
So I think
Okay.
we should go back to the link because this.
okay. Well, we can stop there. And I'll make a reference to it later, but let me see, first of all, just your feedback on the scene in terms of how you're feeling about it. Are there anything that you say that you're uncomfortable with, or you don't understand what it means, or any section that you feel isn't connecting? Before I kind of jump in and
Well, for me, it really feels so much more like a real family now.
Ah,
I just felt, like you said, Randy, it's so easy to just make these grand speeches, which they are.
yeah.
But when I was listening to you, I just thought, how hard it's been to live with him all these years, at the same time that I love, but the things, the qualities that he had, like the drama of it, the pomposity, and we've been these, we've been these daughters, we've been trying to, be good princesses or whatever. But I just thought, wow, this is a really tough situation to be in as a daughter.
Yeah.
That there are certain things that he said have to be so. And what you said about what is it like to house 100 nights? I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And you have this, and he's calling us hags. And I just felt the exhaustion of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at the same time, this is, my father who has been king for so many years. It was just wonderfully complex, like families are.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So
Good. Anyone else? Anything, Lizzie, that you're?
I was just thinking, it's not a challenge, it's a pleasure that like someone with such a rich experience of this role as Randy, to watch him. It's intimidating as a younger actor, but it also is such a real experience of having to like stand your ground
Yeah.
as they have to, and be a
Yes.
little bit courageous.
Yes.
And continue to make your point.
Yeah.
And yeah, he is, as much as I don't want to like negatively judge characters, but he is manipulative, and so you have to it's just this wave of stuff coming at you. And I was trying to think of what I would be doing physically, and I was like, well, I think I would just be standing there and receiving. and just trying to kind of square my shoulders.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's so wonderful to hear you both talk about this, because one of the things I'm going to remind you is that certainly is not what you told him in the first act. Neither one of you, you see what I mean? Neither one of you said you're impossible. You shared a little bit of that with each other when he was gone, but
Right.
you both told him you're tops, Dad. Nobody could love you more than I love you.
Yeah.
You see, and that's in the play, at the very end of the play, Edgar is going to say, what is the line now? Speak what you mean, speak.
Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say.
That's it. Say it again, Thomas.
Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say.
Yes. And that's going to be a major line in this. Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say, because that Cordelia, of course, is a representative of that. She said what she felt. And the lesson gets learned certainly by Edgar at the end of the play. But you start to put an eye towards who does say what they feel, and who doesn't. And with the two girls, I think you find that they did what they were told to do to get their share of the kingdom. But now both of you, it's so wonderful because both of you are living out exactly what you should be living out with Goneril and Regan. He's impossible. How can I rule with it, but that's not what you told him. And that, I think, is an important element. I want to share with you two little things before we jump in further with the text. I was reading all the source material that Shakespeare knew before he put the play together. And one little thing came out that I was so curious about, and that was with Goneril. One of the reasons in one of the stories told that she wants to cut back his train is that they're so costly, it's keeping her from buying the clothing she wants. So
Interesting.
and then later, Lear has a line about playing the vanities part. This is when he's in the hovel, he makes a reference to vanity and in association, I think, with Goneril. But one of the things, Jeannie, that occurred, and this is where your imagination now takes over. No right or wrong, or we don't write books about it. But when I found that little nugget, I thought, I bet that's why she's annoyed that these men are cluttering her. It has nothing to do with them being rowdy and terrible, but it's 100 of them, and this no longer looks like. I mean, I have a sister who my handicapped. I know she's not a bad person, so what I'm about to say, don't judge. But my uncle was handicapped and he had to go up the stairs, and she had white walls, and she put gloves on him so he wouldn't dirty her walls. And that's what I'm thinking of in terms of Goneril.
Yes.
That the idea of kingship, the idea of leadership is an appearance. This is what it should look like.
Yes.
So you may want to just think about that,
Okay, great.
okay.
Yeah.
Also, too, one of the things, as he curses Goneril, he specifically wants her beauty to be infected.
Yes.
So of all the daughters, she's probably the most beautiful and is aware of that.
Or certainly does, makes herself appear like. That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So she's, yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
that's great.
The thing about Regan that occurs to me is when you look at her, particularly, I was listening very closely to this scene, Lizzie. She always uses words like "I beseech you," "I beg you." She rarely is direct the way Goneril is direct. "At your choice, sir," Goneril says. You say, where is it? "Therefore, I pray you that to our sister you do make return." Even at the end of your plea to him, you use the word "I pray you." In "I pray you, sir, take patience," you say. That's early on. And then even later on, you have another one where you say,
I entreat you to bring but 5 and 20.
Yes, and I pray you, Father, being old seems so. So that's a clue, I think, to the one of the differences between the two of them. And with that in mind, we'll look closer at it. But one of the things that occurred to me, you know, when he's going on with his whole thing about, no, you say to him, oh, the blessed God, so will you wish on me, when the rash mood is on, remember that?
Yeah.
And he goes on, 'tis not in thee to grudge my pleasure, to cut off my train, to bandy haste, to scamp my sudden conclusion, to oppose the bolt. You're better than her. You would
Right.
never do that. You're too kind, you're too kind. I wonder if she's not about to succumb to it. And so she just wants him to be quiet, because she's feeling,
Guilty.
yes, I should be the better daughter. I should be the better. So when you say to the purpose, it's to get him
To
to
stop.
stop.
Yeah, that's so much more, poignant.
And then if you add on to that, you hear the Goneril's here. Thank God, because I'm not getting anywhere. Return, return, return. And she's here. And I think if we were standing on her feet, what I would have you do is rush over to her.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So they say,
he knows
okay,
how to talk to him.
yeah, she'll handle it.
Yes.
You know,
I hate, I think that's, when we get, it's such a trap with Shakespeare that we get these stereotypes about the characters. And so we're told, here's what you are, here's what you are. Your father is telling you, and then here on the page, the father is saying, you are the compliant one. And isn't it easier to just try that?
Yeah.
Instead of like, they're both assertive. Well, what if one of them is really attached to being beautiful and the other one is really attached to being the good girl, golden child?
Yes, yes. And the way to stay the good girl is to not deal. I won't be home when he comes, because
won't be
that
home.
can't be a bad girl. I'm just not home. So I think that follows suit. The other question that occurred to me, and this goes back to Goneril, why do you come? Why do you come? You sent him to her.
She wrote me a letter.
Mhm.
Yes. So I was thinking, in the letter, I might have been saying, all right, this is what's happening. Now he's going to your place. I think it's time that we started putting these boundaries up. And, and also I was thinking that if he's stormed off, there was that thing that you said, a bit of competitiveness between the sisters.
Mhm.
There's a sense of maybe I have to go see what's going on, because
Yes, and
maybe
let me
there's
add,
some alliance they're going to form against me.
absolutely, she's going to screw it up. She's got the potential, because again, if she's the good sister, he can influence her. She
Yes,
joins
he's
with
mad at
him.
me.
Yes,
So
and if
what
she
could happen if he goes to her?
Yes,
He's
Yeah.
going to
Got
give
it.
an inch and he's
So
going to take
I
a
think
mile.
I'm coming. Yeah, I think I
Yes.
better go check and see what's going on here.
That's exactly. And you told her that you would, so it's not a secret. But the
Yeah.
point being that when you have to ensure that she does not succumb to his complaints about you, and it doesn't occur to her that somehow, oh, wait a minute, if I join with him, we can both oppose you.
Yes.
Because
I've got my third, but it doesn't feel.
you have half at this point. You both have half.
Half.
Yes, right.
But somehow it doesn't feel secure to me.
And it's not secure for either one of you.
Yeah.
That's where that train has got to be cut down to nothing. It's dangerous, because if he sends those men out,
He can make trouble.
to Cordelia, that's right, he can raise an army to come back. That's why his rages are, you may not like them and they may be annoying, but they are also dangerous. And you've told us all, listen, I'm not making this up on the spot. That scene we read last week where the two of you, where Goneril is saying we have to do something. And you say, oh my God, we might, the same way he got upset with France, we might see that. And the fact that he banished Kent, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem. And so that's why I think you have to diminish him. You've got to get him to a place where he is not powerful. And of course, Lizzie, you as Regan carry the line, being weak seems so. He does not seem so. He seems mighty strong. And so you have to get him to understand you should be old and weak. That's
like this.
yeah. And so it all kind of fits together. Now, I want to add two other things, and one of them is where the scene starts, just so, because we're taking it in the middle.
Yeah.
Lear arrives and sees Kent in the stocks. He asks Kent, how did it happen? Kent accuses Cornwall and Regan. Lear says no. Kent says, yeah, he says, maybe Cornwall, but not Regan. And Kent says, no, your daughter too. And Lear says, no. He demands Gloucester bring them down to him. I want to bring them here. Gloucester comes back. He says, they're not feeling well. They're tired from their, whatever he says, but they won't come right down. Lear goes berserk. Let me spell this out for you, he says. The king, the father wants to see his daughter, the king, and Gloucester says, I'll try. So Gloucester has to go back again, twice now. So you come in now, and they both say, hail to your lord. Cornwall says, hail to your lordship. You say, I'm glad to see your highness. Okay, Lear gets to breathe a little bit because now he's hoping, and that's why he says, I think you are. Randy, that goes back to the fact he wasn't sure because Kent had planted the doubt. So when she says, I'm glad to see you, look what happens. He indeed says to her, I think you are, because if you weren't, then I would say that you're the child of some other man. Your mother slept with someone. You're not my blood. Okay, he says that. And when that happens, he sees Kent is released from the stocks. Oh, are you released? He says, we'll talk about that later. And so then he jumps to Regan. He trusts her. Regan, your sister's horrible. He pours his heart out to you about that. You turn the tables by saying,
go back.
I'm sure that she wouldn't do something like that. My sister, come on, she's, responsible. I'm sure it's more about your men than, and so and then we get the next. Now we're into, are you saying, how could that be? And then on top of it, you add return to her. Return to her. And you're asking him for something that is worse than, I would say, death itself at this stage. That the treatment he received from her was so horrible. That's why he has to put it all out there, because you're not getting the picture of what returning to her entails. All right. You have to hear him do that and respond, steel yourself, as you said earlier, you have to steel yourself to say, that can't be that, even though you may be believing him, to keep saying return to her. Do you see what I mean? That's your battle. That's Regan's battle, is Lear pouring all of this out, and you still holding on to somehow making the situation look like he could return to her.
Right, you're taking it so personally.
And we'll go back over the script specifically to see that. Thomas, well, the thing I want to add about Cornwall is we have heard on several occasions he's hot-blooded. Gloucester tells us that he's hot-blooded. When you're with Lear, I would restrain it. It's an interesting thing to me, because one of the differences seems to happen in the play is that Cornwall follows Regan If Regan says jump, Cornwall says how high. And in fact, there's a moment in one of these scenes, I forgot, nearby, where Regan says, and if this happens, I won't do such and such, and Cornwall says, and I won't either, as if, who care, you know. So there's a kind of relationship there of Regan seeming to have a little more power over Cornwall than certainly Goneril has over Albany.
Well, Cornwall acknowledges the fact that he only has power because of he's married to Regan.
Yeah, that's right. But
You know?
Albany does not. Albany does stand up to you. He says you may be going too far, and you're the one who has to constantly, you know, put him in his place. People look at you as if you're a coward, you know. So there's a difference in their relationships with their husbands as well. All right. Okay. So Thomas, my point with Cornwall is he has to keep a very close eye on Regan, because you are letting her handle this.
Yeah.
And the only time you're brave enough to confront him is to say, I put him there.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? It leads
Yeah.
to that. But before that, you're quiet as a mouse. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Now, if I could, I'd like to just explain a little bit some of the things I noticed that are worth knowing in the folio. And that is a comma. I do want to take a minute to explain. I know it's on that paper, but just so maybe I can clarify it a little more. The thing about a comma is everything before the comma is all you expect to say. What follows is an afterthought that is connected to what came before, but it still lets you think on your feet. So if you let's just take a quick look at I pray you, sir, and you see that take patience. Regan, I'm sorry, I'm at the beginning of the scene again. And after Lear's speech to you, right?
14:16, I pray you, sir, take patience.
Mhm.
Yes. So the patience is all you expect to say,
Sure.
and then you add the next. All right.
And then next.
So you get, I pray you, sir, thought, take patience. I have hope. So and now I'm taking pauses just to illustrate, but if you can get into the pattern of it being an afterthought. I usually do this little exercise with people where if we're in a restaurant and we're going to, let's say, order a burger, and you also want fries, but you only think of the fries after you've ordered the burger. So you go into the restaurant and you say, I'd like a burger and some fries. So it's different than saying, I like a burger and fries. Because the one thought is the two items in one thought. The other is the burger, oh, and some fries. Now, the whole point of doing all of this is if you get into the ease of it, it really keeps you in the moment. It gives a sense of the thing you were saying earlier, Jeannie, of thinking on your feet, making it feel fresh, making it feel like, oh, I had no idea what I was about to say. I'm thinking the thought rather than I memorize the speech off stage and here it is, you know. So that's once you spend some time with that comma, I think you'll see that it really does allow you to give the illusion of the first time that I'm speaking this in the moment. Now, I noticed that there were I thought you guys all sort of hit the capitals, which is great. The next step in all of that is to ask yourself, why is that a capital? Why would that, as I gave you, you know, that whole thing about the shoe, it's the same thing. But one of the things I'm finding almost every time the word nature is capitalized. I told Randy last night, the word nature is used more than 40 times in this play, and it appears in 16 scenes. So and because Lear, of course, goes out into the storm,
Yeah.
and that nature itself opposes Lear, you know, and you have that whole idea of nature being animals and birds, and flowers and the physical nature, but you also have man's nature, who you should be. Nature, your love for your father, and Cordelia tries to make this point, your love for your father is natural. Edmund will want nature as his goddess, because to him, nature has no bounds, the way men's laws do. At any rate, it comes up an awful lot. So when you see that cap on nature, I would start to give it emphasis, because that word and that condition is a very important, it's important to everybody in this play. And of course, Shakespeare holds the mirror up to nature, not humanity, not people, to nature, the thing you innately are. And of course, that's what will come out. Goneril's nature will be what? Greed. I don't know, I don't know ultimately what word you want to put on it, but that's what you want to understand. When you say the word, it does hold a kind of meaning. I'd be careful just tossing it off as one of those Shakespearean words. Just say nature, because it's essential to their arguments. And of course, we'll look at that. Lear is filled with them. He's using it all the time.
Yeah.
And particularly that speech about allow not nature what more than it needs.
Yeah.
Because your argument about what need won. And he says reason not the need, because the point is that nature needs more, because we are human beings. We have to have clothing, we have to have art, we have to have beauty, we have to have things that if we cast, as he will be cast out into the storm, and the clothing isn't all just about being warm, it's about looking a particular way.
Rank.
It's a
Prestige.
very important argument that he tries to make. And I think it's so important, Jeannie, I'm thinking of Goneril, because if we do follow through with this idea of her being this woman who understands what kingship should be and what it should look like externally, nobody in this play ever talks about taking care of the people. No one ever once talks about a law that's necessary, or, and it's only Lear out in the storm later that says, oh, I've given too little care to people who are poor and have no clothing. And I've given, because in that castle, in their world, they don't even think about it. They think about
it's all about appearances, right? It's all about,
Yeah.
right. And it's why Kent has to strip himself of the appearance of being a lord, because he's a follower, devoted follower, because that's inside. He's going to be a devoted, dressed like without any kind of lordly clothing at all. Edgar will do the same thing.
Yeah.
Who they really are. Okay. So let's go through it again, and let's just see if I can just stop and go a little bit, just apply some of the stuff that we've just talked about. Okay. So Randy, can we
Or to you both.
Hail to your grace.
I'm glad to see your highness.
Regan, I think you are. I know what reason I have to think so. If thou shouldst not be glad, I would divorce me from my mother's tomb, sepulchering an adulteress. Oh, Regan, thy sister's not.
Wait, Rand. Oh, are you free?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I think thou art.
Mhm.
I know what reason I have to think so. If thou shouldst not be glad, I would divorce me from thy mother's tomb, sepulchering an adulteress. Oh, are you free? Or some other time for that?
Mhm.
Beloved Regan, thy sister's not. She had tied, sharp-toothed unkindness, a vulture here. I can scarce speak to thee. Thou wouldst not believe with how depraved a quality. Oh, Regan.
Pray you, sir, take patience. I have hope you less know how to value her desert than she to scant her duty.
Say, how is that?
Yeah,
I
I'd
cannot
just
think-
stop for 1 second. One of the things, just so you're all aware of what he's describing is himself being tied to a rock as Prometheus, and the
Having
vulture
his liver
pecking.
taken out every day.
So what he said to you is an image, and you would be very well aware of it, as would Shakespeare's audience, which tells you a lot about ours. But at any rate, well, I think we spent our lives thinking we're so much smarter, and then in the meantime, we dumb everything down because we're afraid the audience isn't going to get it. But this stuff was written for a very smart audience, and even the groundlings had a better education than we have thought to keep in mind. But I digress. At any rate, but what he says to you in that imagery, sharp-toothed unkindness, like a vulture here. I can't even tell you, he says, I can't even speak. You won't believe how terrible she was. Are you hearing it? Are you hearing, and your response doesn't acknowledge that.
Right.
So in a way, it seems like you're saying, when you say take patience, this is just a typical Lear moment.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, Randy, shocks him.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we just do that a little bit again?
From
I think you are, Regan, I think you are. I know what reason I have to think so. If thou shouldst not be glad, I would divorce me from thy mother's tomb, sepulchering an adulteress. Oh, are you free? Oh, some other time for that. Beloved Regan, thy sister's not. Oh, Regan, she hath tied, sharp-toothed unkindness like a vulture. Here, I can scarce speak thee. Thou wouldst not believe with how depraved a quality. Oh, Regan.
I pray you, sir, take patience. I have hope you less know how to value her desert than she to scant her duty.
Say, how's that?
I cannot think my sister in the least would fail her obligation. If, sir, perchance she have restrained the riots of your followers, 'tis on such ground and to such wholesome end as clears her from all blame.
My
Hold on a sec. I just want to help you with the very last 2 lines. 'Tis on such ground, and make sure you give full attention to wholesome end. One of the things now, and I appreciate what you're doing, is to say this on ground into such wholesome end, but because it's separated by that comma, you need to think that next thought. So, okay. And that clears is a long spelling.
Yes.
Good.
I cannot think my sister in the least would fail her obligation. If, sir, perchance she have restrained the riots of your followers, 'tis on such ground and to such wholesome end as clears her from all blame.
Oh, my curses on her.
Oh, sir, you are old. Nature in you stands on the very verge of his confine. You should be ruled and led by some discretion that discerns your state better than you yourself. Therefore, I pray you that to our sister you do make return. Say you have wronged her.
Ask her forgiveness? You but mark how this becomes the house. Dear daughter, I confess that I'm old. Age is unnecessary. On my knees, I beg that you'll vouchsafe me raiment, bed, and food.
Good sir, no more. These are unsightly tricks. Return you to my sister.
Hey, hold a sec, because one of the things I want to point out, sometimes with the colon, it sometimes leaps forward. So if you're in that restaurant with that burger, but you really want those fries and the waiter is ready to take your order and move on, you would say something like, I'd like a burger, oh, and some fries.
Okay.
So you would leap to the next, all right? The other thing about the colon is it's a direction to move, physically move.
Sure.
So you'll see that it comes when he goes on his knees. I confess that I'm old, age is on my knees. The colon is where he does it. The other thing, of course, that's so wonderful, I think, is that I beg that you vouchsafe me raiment, bed, and food, good sir, no more. You see that colon? I think yes, that's right. You go to pick him up.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's kind of directs itself. If you just follow it, and of course, as I said, none of it's in stone. Maybe the director said, no, I don't want you going there. So you don't go, you want to work. But again, it's just wonderful to understand that these scenes are physical. That's why scholars can look at a text, but all they'll ever see are the words on the page. They'll never see the life between. And that's what we have to do on stage. So you get that picture of him now actually getting on his knees, and he will get on his knees another time, and that will be at the end of the play to Cordelia.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry. So can we just take it from, oh, sir, you are old?
Yes. Oh, sir, you are old. Nature in you stands on the very verge of his confine. You should be ruled and led by some discretion that discerns your state.
I'm sorry. Let me stop you again. Nature in you stands on the very verge of his confine is one of those expressions. Do you have an idea of what it means? I mean, what do you think it means?
You are you are old, and you are at the end of the experience of having a human nature. You're nearest death.
There you go. You're about to die.
Yeah.
So you want to try to put that into that as best you can. It's sounding foreign. It doesn't have to sound. My point is, it doesn't have to be an expression that that is unnatural.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So just tell him he's going to die with that line. I sensitively tell him. I mean, again, you don't want to. If somebody told me I was going to die, because they saw my gray hair, I'd be worried. Okay.
My curse is on her.
Oh, sir, you are old. Nature in you stands on the very verge of his confine. You should be ruled and led by some discretion that discerns your state better than you yourself. Therefore, I pray you that to our sister you do make return. Say you have wronged her.
But ask her forgiveness? Do you but mark how this becomes the house? Dear daughter, I confess that I'm old. Age is unnecessary. On my knees, I beg that you'll vouchsafe me raiment, bed, and food.
Good sir, no more. These are unsightly tricks. Return you to my sister.
Never, Regan. She hath abated me of half my train. Looked black upon me, struck me with her tongue most serpent-like upon the very heart. All the stored vengeances of heaven fall on her in grateful top. Strike her young bones, you taking airs with lameness.
Fie, sir, fie.
Nimble lightnings dart your blinding flames into her scornful eyes, and infect her beauty, you fen-sucked fogs drawn by the powerful sun to fall and blister.
Oh, the blessed gods! So you will wish on me when the rash mood is on.
Yes, and that's
Regan.
great. Let me tell you, the exclamation mark is the rarest punctuation in these scripts, and you get one. So one of the things I think that one of the things that is suggesting to me again is that you
Oh.
that's where he gets to you finally. I think you've held it under wraps, held it under wraps, held it under wraps. But when he does that, and it is quite, this is where Jeannie was saying we've had to live with this all these years. You nimble lightnings dart your burning flames into her scorn, but infect her beauty, you fen-sucked fogs drawn by the powerful. I mean, this rage is beyond, no one should ever be in that state. That's proof that he's gone, that he shouldn't been given any freedom.
Yeah, okay.
All right. But that's why that comes, I think that might be the clue to us of end of
Got
patience.
it. Okay.
And I say it because Randy, when you say no, Regan, you're just about to lose all you have left. You have one daughter banished, the other one you cursed.
Yeah.
If she leaves you, you're toast.
I'm alone.
That's absolutely right. So
Yeah.
can you give her the fen-sucked fogs, the fen, whatever?
You nimble lightnings dart your blinding flames into her scornful eyes. Infect her beauty, you fen-sucked fogs, drawn by the powerful sun to fall and blister.
The blessed gods! So will you wish on me when the rash mood is on?
Good.
No, Regan, thou shalt never have my curse. Thy tender-hefted nature shall not give thee o'er to harshness. Her eyes are fierce, but thine to comfort and not burn. I mean, 'tis not in thee to grudge my pleasures, cut off my train, to bandy hasty words, to scant my sizes, and in conclusion to oppose the bolt against my coming in. No, thou better knowest the offices of nature, bond of childhood, effects of courtesy, dues of gratitude. Thy half of the kingdom hast thou not forgot, wherein I thee endowed.
Good sir, to the purpose.
Who put my servant in the stocks?
What trumpet's that?
I know it. My
Okay,
sister.
and I'd like to almost overlap that so that the trumpet and Lear's response are going to be one. You see? And I think that Thomas, come right in, don't wait for it. All right.
Okay.
And I think you do, and again, it is to the steward, so that's why he enters there. So you'll go right over to him. But now we get this kind of noise from outside. The steward comes in. Lear is in a rage. She is not saying to him, "You're right, I do love you, Father." She's saying to the purpose, and he's back to why he wanted you to come down in the first place. You did put him in the stocks, didn't you? So because you're not the tender-hefted daughter he's describing, you're just moving on to the purpose, the purpose, and it's not a line reading, it's just me being passionate. Just so that he goes back to why he's gonna have to get, that's why that cap is on stocks at the end and long spelling. All right. And now we move on to what trumpets that. Can we just do that?
O Regan, thou shalt never have my curse. Thy tender-hefted nature shall not give thee o'er to harshness. Her eyes are fierce, but thine do comfort and not burn. 'Tis not in thee to grudge my pleasures, to cut off my train, to bandy hasty words, to scant my sizes, and in conclusion, to bolt the door against my coming in. Thou better knowest the offices of nature, the bond of childhood, the effects of courtesy, the dues of gratitude. Thy half of the kingdom hast thou not forgot, wherein I thee endowed.
Good sir, to the purpose.
Who put my man in the stocks?
What trumpets that?
My note, my sister's. This approves her letter that she would soon be here. Is your lady come?
This is a slave, whose easy borrowed pride dwells in the sickly grace of her he follows. Out, varlet, from my sight!
What means your grace?
Who stalked my servant? Regan, I have good hope thou didst not know on it. Who comes here? Oh, heavens. If you do love old men, if you yourselves are old, no, if you do love old men, if your sweet sway allow obedience, if you yourselves are old, make it your cause, send down and take my part. Art not ashamed to look upon this beard?
Yeah,
Regan.
excuse me, but I think too that you may want to at least try once that being a prayer to the heavens and separate it when you move on to art not ashamed. You see
Okay.
what
Yeah. Who stalked my servant? Regan, I have good hope thou didst not know on it. Who comes here? Oh, heavens. If you do love old men, if your sweet sway allow obedience, if you yourselves are old, make it your cause, send down and take my part. Art not ashamed to look upon this beard? Oh, Regan, wilt thou take her by the hand?
Why not by the hand, sir? How have I offended? All's not offense that indiscretion finds, and dotage terms so.
Oh, side, you're too tough. Will you yet hold? How came my man in the stocks?
I set him there, sir, but his own disorders deserved much less advancement.
Okay.
You!
Okay,
Did
hold,
you?
hold, because I want to come back to it. Two things. Goneril, one of the things I want to just call your attention to, it's all lowercase. So what I would suggest is to toss it off a little more.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean?
I do have sir capitalized. Is that?
Yes, that's good. Yeah, and sir will always be, unless it's
Okay.
a diminutive, is it somebody's mocking somebody.
Okay.
But as you look at the rest of what she said, it's almost, water off a duck's back.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And then that's why he gets the wonderful exclamation. Now it's his turn. And he asks that question again. Thomas, you see lowercase?
Yes.
Be careful of, I set him there. It becomes, feel it out. Feel it out rather than what we had worked on the other day. It
Yeah.
becomes stuck. And you need to simply answer Lear. Again, be careful of the word simply, because I don't want that to mean throw everything away. I just want it to be between you and Lear.
Mhm.
And I trust you to take it wherever you can take it, since you know now that disorders is going to be the big part of it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Otherwise, what happens, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I think you have to be careful of the sound of passion. The sound starts to coat the words. And so before you know it, we're hearing anger, sorrow, and we don't have the words anymore. I read a paragraph the other night, and I don't have it in front of me, but it reminded us that, particularly in modern theater, we're so used to subtext.
Yeah.
We're so used to what's happening under the lines that if you're doing Shakespeare, that puts in the hands of the director to intuit what the line means, because it's subtext, and therefore Shakespeare's words go out the window or it all seems too long because you're not even paying attention to the words anymore. We've summarized it with the subtext. And I think that you have to understand that when he has Hamlet say, suit the word to the action to the word, words are life in Shakespeare. They're not, you're not a dictionary. You're not, you don't have to worry about my job is to make all this understood, but you do need to breathe life in to each word. That's how good he was as a playwright. He put life into words, not definition. The definition's there, of course, they have meaning. So you are too tough, I set him there. I would just be strong on it, Thomas, but not angry.
Okay.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Okay. So once again.
Where from?
Regan, will you take her?
Regan, will you take her by the hand?
Why not by the hand, sir? How have I offended? All's not offense that indiscretion finds, and dotage terms so.
Besides, you're too tough. Will you yet hold? How came my man in the stocks?
I set him there, sir, but his own disorders deserved much less advancement.
You, did you?
I pray you, Father, being weak, seem so. If till the expiration of your month you will return and sojourn with my sister, dismissing half your train, come then to me. I am now from home and out of that provision which shall be needful for your entertainment.
Return to her, and 50 men dismissed. No, rather I abjure all roofs, and choose to wage against the enmity of the air, to be a comrade with the wolf and owl, necessity's sharp pinch. Return with her? Why, the hot-blooded France, the dowerless took our youngest born. I could as well be brought to knee his throne, and squire like pension beg to keep base life afoot. Return with her? Persuade me rather to be slave and sumpter to this detested groom.
At your choice, sir.
I prithee. Daughter, do not make me mad. I will not trouble thee, my child. Farewell. We'll no more meet, no more see one another. But yet, thou art my flesh, my blood, my daughter, or rather a disease that's in my flesh, which I must needs call mine. Thou art a boil, a plague sore, an embossed carbuncle in my corrupted blood. But I'll not chide thee. Let shame come when it will. I do not call it. I do not bid the thunder bearers shoot, nor tell tales of thee to high judging Jove. Mend when thou canst. Be better at leisure. I can be patient. I can stay with Regan, I and my 100 knights.
Not altogether so. I looked not for you yet, nor am provided for your fit welcome. Give ear, sir, to my sister, for those that mingle reason with your passion must be content to think you old and so. But she knows what she does.
Wait, hold on just a sec. I want to just point one little thing out, and that is you can barely figure out the right words to say. That's what's happening at the end of that. For your fit welcome, give ear to my sister. For those that mingle reason with your passion must be content to think you old and so. But she knows what, you know what I mean? There's this wonderful thing that there's no end to that sentence. It ends with, she knows what she does. He almost flusters you.
Yeah.
You know, he has one of those, he's going to have one later. He says, I'm going to do
I don't know what I'll do.
For
those that mingle.
The what?
Well, for those, okay, so listen to my sister. For those, anyone who would mingle reason with your passion.
Yes.
Those that mingle reason with your passion must be content. Anyone who would, I'm a little troubled on mingle, anyone who would think that anyone who would try to apply reason to your passion
Yes.
consider themselves that you are old. And so it is so, and they would be right. But she knows what she does. Oh my God, please, no, not me. Over to you.
That's right. That's exactly right. So that so hangs at the end of that, and so, you know, and then you move on, but she knows what she does.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, his wonderful line. Is this well spoken? Which I think, you know, and then you finally pulled yourself together. And again, this is one, but she knows what she does. Is this well spoken? And you get to start. You've had a moment now to think of something more fluid to say.
Okay.
50 followers, come on, you know, it goes from there. All right.
But I think right there, 50 is still the top. I think 50 is still the deal. What 50 followers is it not well?
Yes.
Isn't 50 fine?
Right.
It's supposed to be 100.
I don't care.
Yes, it is supposed to be 100, but we've already cut that down.
You dwindled
If
it in
you-
half.
If you go with Goneril, it's 50.
Right.
Right.
Now-
Yeah. And then we begin this thing of like, well,
Oh,
doesn't 50 sound better? Actually, the number has changed. That
Yes.
offer is no
Down to
longer.
50. But again, you know, don't give up the idea that, look, 50 is good, go with her.
50 would be great.
You know, keep pushing him in her
Yeah, yeah,
direction. And now, and this is what I mean about them bargaining, the way they bargained in the first scene. Now they're bargaining with cutting down the number, so he will go with the one who gives him the most. You see? Yeah.
Annie, can I add something here? So
Yeah.
I don't want him to return to my place. So when she's saying, go back, is it like, no, you know, I don't want him to come. So am I kind of the ears forward there? Like, what is she up to? Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it is, because here's the thing. Look at how you respond. She says, well, let's just read that section. Is this well spoken? Let's take that and then we'll go back over it. I dare vouch it, sir. Regan?
I dare vouch it, sir. What 50 followers? Is it not well? What should you need of more? Yea, or so many? Sith that both charge and danger speak against so great, sith that both charge and danger speak against so great a number. How in one house should many people under two commands hold amity? 'Tis hard, almost impossible.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why might not you, my lord? Why might not you, my lord, receive attendance from those that she calls servants, or from mine?
Why not, my lord? If then they chance to slack ye, we could control them. If you will come to me, for now I spy a danger, I entreat you to bring but 25, to no more will I give place or notice.
I gave you all.
And in good time you
Okay,
gave.
let's just stop there so I can go back to what Jeannie had said. Yes, Jeannie, I think you're absolutely right. You don't want, that's why I think it starts with from those that she calls servants or from mine. You know, you don't say that I call servants and hers. You start with pushing him off to her servants. Yeah. Or okay, or mine. I'll acquiesce to that, right? Yeah. And then you come in with why not, my lord? Then here's the idea. This is great. If they do something, you know, to not respect you, well, we can take care of them. And now you're putting in your option here, right?
Yeah.
I entreat you to bring but 25. No more will I give place. So now we cut it down from 50 to 25. And his response, of course, is, I gave you all. And of course, the next line, and I think I kind of give it to you because it can come out, I've heard it come out many ways. And so it either comes out with the idea of, and it's a good thing because
You're old.
because you're old, or, well, we had to wait long enough for it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to play with it until you feel comfortable.
Mhm.
Do you know?
Got it.
This is the thing about so many of his lines, they're fraught with meaning. And so you want to be able to play freshly every night and see, as long as you're within the meaning of the line, and we know two now. I mean, if you can figure out, okay, definitely how it fits. I've been looking, I can't. I've seen actresses do it, and it's can make your blood curdle when they say, you know, and in good time you gave. To me, it doesn't feel like Regan, you know, but again, in the hands of a good actress.
And in the moment, that's maybe what she
That's right.
feels.
That's exactly right. So it's
know,
yours, Lizzie, it's yours.
That's right. To make the decision of how to render the line in the moment, given however, you know.
Yeah.
So
Because where we're at now, we're both of you, I mean, all three of you, Thomas too, Randy, well, you know, chump change. But you guys right now, what you're doing is
Terrific.
fresh and wonderful. And I want to fill you. Hell, I spend so much time with this stuff that I can't help but share it. But I never want it to rob you of what you have that I don't, and that's the freedom to act these roles. That freedom is absolutely important. I want to give you as many clues to get your imagination going, but I want you to have the freedom to know that in this moment it led me here or there, you know. So that's why I'm kind of, here's the information, here's what I know, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so
can I just say one thing? When I was listening to that and I heard, I entreat you to bring but 5 and 20, and I thought, oh, she's good. She got my 50, she did me better. 5 and 20. It's just so interesting. Like it's all these new things are shooting at me.
And you're about
to think on my feet again.
You're going to bring that to life in just a minute, because you're going to be the one, right?
I'm going to be the one that says, you don't need anybody.
That's right. So, so I gave you all. Can we just take it from Why Not, My Lord, Regan?
Yeah. Why not, my lord? If then they chance to slack ye, we could control them. If you will come to me, for now I spy a danger, I entreat you to bring but 5 and 20. To no more will I give place or notice.
I gave you all.
And in good time you gave it.
Made you my guardians, my depositories, but kept a reservation to be followed with such a number. What? Must I come to you with 5 and 20? Regan's said you so?
And speak again, my lord, no more with me.
Those creatures yet do look well favored when others are more wicked. Not being the worse, stands in some rank of praise. I'll go with thee. 50 doth double 5 and 20, and thou art twice her love.
Hear me, my lord. What need you 5 and 20, or 10, or 5, to follow in a house where twice so many have a command to tend you?
What need 1?
Yes, hold on a sec, because that's the bargain. And,
Wow.
and I think we can really get it down to this. I think you have a little more time. I think you can come in with it, but make 1, if you can diminish it a little bit more, Lizzie, because you're rushing, you say, what need 1? I would make 1 the largest small you can.
Oh.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need
Oh, it's so
wait to
sad.
finish the line. You mean make a point of the fact that that's only 3 syllables.
Well, make a point that 1.
Have a command to tend you what need 1.
Yes. So what's happening again, I hear have a command to attend you, what need 1? And my suggestion is.
Yeah.
Right. I think you have it.
Got it.
But you see, Jeannie, that is the bargaining. That's where you get what need 20. Why? Because she just got off the hook by saying, listen, I'm only going to accept 25. And what has he just said? listen, you're
I'm
a
going
hard,
with you.
50 is better than 20, right? I'm going with you. And then you think,
I gotta stop
wait,
this.
25, 15, what can I put here to make him not come with me?
Yes,
And
I-
can you top this? She does. And we go right back to, I agree with my sister, but she comes too short.
Yes.
You put the capper on it.
You
See?
can just really see the sisterly dynamic, even in these life and death stakes.
Yeah.
It's this scene is amazing. It's incredible.
It is.
Yeah.
It
It's a-
truly is. The whole play is, we were saying,
Yeah.
we were sharing with one of our students yesterday, and he said, well, when do we do it? When can we do it? And I said, find the money, find the money. So, but it is, it's beyond brilliant. Someone once said that to tackle Lear is to be a flea on a behemoth's back. And it's sort of true, you know. But I think if you do, well, I think what we're getting at here, and again, I thank you because you're so willing to go with it, is there's a simplicity in all of it, really.
Yes.
It's this large play and large thoughts and feelings and passions, but yet on some levels it's quite simple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Mhm.
So that's the bargain. What need one? And then of course you take it from there.
You know, because it makes perfect sense. And yet, as an audience member, the audience member in me is really
Yes.
feeling so much for Lear.
Yeah.
I mean, just a short time ago, he commanded, he
Yeah.
was king, you know, he commanded everything. And now he's like, he has to 100, 50, 25, 10, 1. You just feel like his manhood being stripped, like, and it's almost like the knights to me, they're like toy soldiers. You know how kids argue, well, you have 10 and I have 5. And I almost feel like, oh, you can see him crumbling back into childhood.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I want my 100 soldiers, 50, 20. I mean, it's every reduction in number is such an assault on his, you know, as an audience member, that's what I'm feeling. As this sister, of course, it makes perfect sense.
I think
Yes,
an
and
assault on
Genius
his,
of this play is that, oh my God, he was king just a short while
Right.
ago.
That's
I
right.
He's
think
reduced
it's
to,
an assault on his identity.
yes,
Being stripped away is his very, what he thought he was. And he's not that.
yeah.
But he's
And
going to discover
you
that he's just a human being and
Just
he's
a
going to
human-
be stripped naked.
you
Yeah.
should feel for him, but again, I have to keep reminding everyone, it's the tragedy of King Lear. He brought it on himself.
Yes.
So it's not, that's why I always find that when it's simply two evil sisters and a good sister, and he chose the evil over the good, we have no play. We don't,
Yeah.
the whole point is, it's this, and I read the other day that one of the things we should be careful of is trying to make it a realistic history. It's a legend. It's a tale. It's a, you know, it's a
But we
tale
still
about
play human
yeah, well,
beings.
you have to
in
within
this.
that play the realism, but I
Right.
mean in terms of dressing him as a CEO and all of that kind of thing. But I would say that I think you should feel that. I think members of the audience will be torn,
Yeah.
and because ultimately we should leave the theater not able to stop thinking about it
Mhm.
or seeing it on them. You know, when 9/11 happened, the line from Trojan women that kept coming back to me, Greeks, you have found out ways to torture that are not Greek. And that line came back to me because of innocent people going to work. That's not a fair fight. You know, I mean, but these plays they'll haunt you. They'll stay with you. And in the midst of some very modern moment, you'll think, oh my God.
Yeah.
I saw that in Lear. That's what, you know, so they should, I think you're right to have those feelings, to be the actress who has to do Goneril, but also to say, if I were in the audience, I'd have compassion for him. So.
I mean, you know, to take all these hits in the span of just a couple of minutes. It's like every blow, it takes more and more away from him.
Yes.
And as someone who used to have everything up until a short time ago, I think that's why you feel it like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Okay,
Years
so
having everything. Not just a newcomer to the kingship, but he's had this power for years.
Yes.
right.
So to watch him being stripped of it is like, okay, where are we going from here? Where do we go from here?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we just take that sequence one more time? Is this well spoken? That I dare vouch, sir, what 50 followers, that little section that leads to what need one?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's take it a little further back.
Yeah.
I can be patient.
Yep.
I can stay with Regan, I and my 100 knights.
Not altogether so. I look not for you yet, nor am provided for your fit welcome.
Yeah.
Give ear, sir, to my sister. For those that mingle reason with your passion must be content to think you old. Sorry, let me start over.
It's good though. Start over, but I liked it.
I can be patient. I can stay with Regan, I and my 100 knights.
Not altogether so. I looked not for you yet, nor am provided for your fit welcome. Give ear, sir, to my sister, for those that mingle reason with your passion must be content to think you old. And so, but she knows what she does.
Well spoken.
I dare avouch it, sir. What 50 followers? Is it not well? What should you need of more?
Okay.
Yea, or so many? Sith that both charge and danger speak against so great a number. How in one house should many people under two commands hold amity? 'Tis hard, almost impossible.
Why might not you, my lord, receive attendance from those that she calls servants, or from mine?
Why not, my lord? If then they chance to slack ye, we could control them. If you will come to me, for now I spy a danger, I entreat you to bring but 25. To no more will I give place or notice.
I gave you all.
And in good time you gave it.
Made you my guardians, my depositories, but kept a reservation to be followed with such a number. What, must I come to you with 25? Regan, said you so?
I speak again, my lord. No more with me.
Well, those wicked creatures yet do look well favored when other are more wicked. Not being the worst, stand in some rank of praise, I'll go with thee. Thy 50 yet doth double 25, and thou art twice her love.
Hear me, my lord. What need you 25, 10, or 5 to follow in a house where twice so many have a command to tend you?
What need one?
Reason, not the need. Our poorest beggars are in the poorest things superfluous. Oh,
Allow not
nature more than nature needs. Man's life is cheap as beast. Thou art a lady. If only to go warm were gorgeous, why, nature needs not what thou gorgeous wearest, which scarcely keeps thee warm, but for true need. Oh, you heavens, keep me in patience. Patience I need. You see me here, you gods, a poor old man, as full of grief as age, wretched in both. If it be you that stirs these daughters' hearts against their father, fool me not so much to bear it tamely, but touch me with noble anger, and let not women's weapons, water drops, stain my man's cheeks. No, you unnatural hags, I will have such revenges on you both, that all the world shall. I will do such things, what they are yet, I know not, but they shall be the terrors of the earth. Oh, you think I'll weep? No, I'll not weep. I have full cause for weeping, but this heart shall break into 100,000 flaws, or ere I'll weep. Oh, fool, I shall go mad.
Good. Nice, guys. Very nice. Very nice. See how it takes off. And it's, it doesn't have to be planted or this and that. It just takes off. And that's wonderful. Randy, I want to add one thing after that dash.
Let's do it.
What did you say?
I want to do it now. I want to do the play.
Yeah. Randy, at that dash, that's another one of those punctuations that are rarely seen. But the scene where he talks about hysteria pasico, the whole idea of his heart rising in his chest, and the fool. Thomas, you don't know the fool's line there, do you? Beat it down.
What scene would that be?
Yeah, it's okay if you don't. I
don't. I really don't.
But at any rate, you do remember what I'm talking about. That's why I asked you, right? But at any rate, the fool tells Lear to beat down his heart, beat it down, fight against it. And I think this is a moment where it's starting to come up again. I'll do such things that I know not, because if you can work that up.
Becomes almost inarticulate.
Yeah.
You can't even find the words.
Can I ask a question about that moment? Is that real? I don't think it's a mistake, but they shall be the terrors of the earth, and then it's a question mark.
Question mark. Yeah, it's odd, isn't it?
What's that about?
Yeah.
I
pondered that too.
I've spent time pondering that.
Well, I think the question mark goes hand in hand with I don't know what they are. So I think it implies the question of the terrors of the earth, in his anger. Randy, it's kind of like what we found in Hamlet at the.
Like a general question.
Yeah.
I don't know specifically what my revenge will be, but
think about it. I mean, it's almost a question to them. The idea, not that you want an answer from them, but it's so hard to explain how it works. That's why modern texts make it an exclamation, but it's not an exclamation. It's as if to say, do you want?
I love the question mark.
Yeah.
It's so human, for him to say, I will do the text. What they are, I don't know.
Yes, that's it. That's
the terrors of the earth, maybe.
Yes.
But they're coming. It's so human.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. The other thing, well, I don't want to spend, I don't want to do too much text to actual punctuation, because you're already kind of following it on your own. The only thing I want to just keep reminding you of is in order for the caps to work, when you hit lowercase, you need to allow them to be lowercase. Otherwise, you can't differentiate. The other thing too is there are places where if you look at the scansion, the second, the fourth, the sixth, eighth, 10th is the stressed beat, right? So you get things like, I set him there, sir, but his own, there was a line that I heard, I'd have to hear it all over again, actually. Oh, it's little things like, let me just use this as an example. Lear's, if you do love old men, we say, if you do love old men. The scansion is, if you do love old men. That again, it needs that little stress, not the kind of stress you give to a cap, but again, that stress. The thing about scansion that I always find, it's not so much the to-tump, as much as it is you're speaking from the heart, which is why in Goneril, when Goneril comes in, she says, why not by the hand? That section. She's in verse. She never just lets go of you know, and does a kind of common language. It's done. She's meaning everything she says.
Mhm.
And I think that's true. I always look to where they use prose. Where does it change? But it doesn't in this scene. So everybody's speaking from the heart. I think you had one, Regan, where you say, I am from home. Do you know which one? I think it's before Goneril comes in.
No.
Or after Goneril?
Mm.
I am now from home about 1495, 96, 97, 98, 1498.
Yeah, and it's again, it's a simple thing, but again, I am now from home, as opposed to I'm now from home.
Yeah,
You see how it's in the fourth?
right,
am
because it would be
now
I am
from.
now from home. And
Yeah.
well, it's actually elided, isn't I am
Is
now
it?
from home, and out of that provision, I am now, she would elide the I am now from home.
Yeah.
Out of that provision. So, but I see what you mean. I'm now from home. It's, yeah. So that is, I hadn't heard you say that before, Annie, in the time I've worked with you on this. Would you, not to have to quantify it, which is simplistic, but when you're doing this kind of work, would you almost say that a capital is more stressed than a stressed beat in the?
Yes, I would, because you have 5 stresses basically in a normal line, that the idea, this is why I said that you start off by hitting the capital, but you end up interpreting it.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you see? So it's not just about coming down hard on it. It's why is that? Why that's that word nature that I was explaining terribly before, but again, that idea of that word nature holds a very big meaning in this play. And so when you see it, even if it's in an unstressed position, that will happen often, not that often, usually caps fall in stressed positions, but I think that it's more about the interpretation, the offices of nature, bond of childhood, you know. So again, it's the importance of the word rather than the hitting of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, the scansion just becomes rhythm
Mhm.
and helping you. Really, scansion helps me memorize.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then the capitals get lifted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I always love too is how to get to that, you know, no, Regan, thou shalt never have my curse. Thy tender hefted nature shall not give thee o'er. So that again, even though you've ended that line before, it continues to fall into the stress in the second. What I'm looking at right now is Lear's "No, Regan, thou shalt never have my curse." That speech.
Yeah.
Are you there? So you get, no, Regan, thou shalt never have my curse. Thy tender hefted nature shall not give. You see the give?
Mhm.
As opposed to give the or. Thy tender nature shall not give the or to harshness. So the or, because it's in a stress position, you want the stress to fall there rather than to just ream them through without stressing at all.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? That's what I mean from the heart. It's
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Particularly when there's no punctuation at the end of that line.
Mhm.
Our eyes are fierce, but thine do comfort and not burn. You know, it falls into the next line with the stress on comfort. At any rate, as I said, I don't want to do too much. You know, what happens is we have this short period of time, and we're going to start to introduce all these different elements that people have been teaching, you know, lifetimes with. And so I think just to give you a little smattering, to the degree that it helps understand what's happening. Any other questions? What were you going to say, Randy? I'm sorry.
And that it sparks the imagination.
Number one.
That's all.
Number one. You know, we were working with Morris Karnofsky. He came out to our theater, directed Lear, but he also directed Ivanov. and he taught classes, and one girl got up and she did, I think, a monologue from Antony and Cleopatra, and he said to her, well, you simply have no imagination. And I thought, oh my God, that was the kiss of death. What do you do when the great Morris Karnowski tells you you have no imagination? Because that meant so much to him, because so much of his work came from that, the imagination. So, good. Anything else?
I did find the line you were talking about. He says, oh, Lear says, "Oh me, my heart, my rising heart, but down." And then the fool says, "Cry to it, nuncle," as the cockney did to the eels when she put him in the paste alive. She napped him o'er the coxcombs on the coxcomb for the stick and cried down wantons down. So,
yeah. So, and what he's saying basically is don't allow yourself to go there. Don't allow, fight it. You know, and it truly is the beginning of a heart attack. It's the sense that the heart is going to, and then you have that line at the end of this scene, my heart would break in 1,000 pieces. Don't you have?
Yes, 100,000 flaws.
Yeah. So, good.
How do you feel, ladies?
Oh,
It is sort of like, I don't know if the word is bittersweet, but like working on this and then knowing that we're not actually doing it. Like I'm taking care of a baby that I don't get to keep.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really making me wish that we were in rehearsal.
It would be great to do it, I tell you. It'd be fun.
It's so
We-
thrilling. I mean,
We had we did a Chekhov scene, and Libby Apple, who ran Oregon
yeah.
Shakespeare Festival, was directing it. And there were a couple people in the audience who were just like, I want to see those people do the play now, because I've spent so much time with these characters that I want to go see like what happens next.
What happens
What
next?
play was it, Nathan?
What's that? We did a scene from Uncle Vanya.
Ah, yes.
It was the top of, I think it's the top of Act 2. There's a rainstorm, and the professor's asleep in the chair, and that's how the scene starts. And yeah, it was. But yes, I share the sentiment and of wanting to see you guys do this. And I mean, I think it would be just fun. And I don't know logistically necessarily how it would work, whether it'd be the same people, whether you could get everyone for that amount of time. But to take like a year and just do this on an entire play and then block it, then go produce it.
Yeah.
If you could actually have the time to really go through everything, and not feel rushed, and you know, I think that would be. I think it would also create some really amazing theater. That I think the end product would be really really different and really exciting, and would stand out for you know. And I know they did the Bridge project. I don't know if they're still doing that, but there was like it was kind of a UK America collaboration where they did. I think they did it a couple times, but they took 2 plays in repertory and they toured them around, and you know there were some celebrity actors in there, so that helped sell tickets. But it was this kind of idea of probably trying to recreate repertory theater to some degree, but make it commercially viable. But yeah, I think the product speaks for itself. I mean, and that's always been the experience of people who have been sitting in on this. Even though we're doing just one scene, the result is undeniable. And to see how far it's gone, even just in 4 weeks, you know. And of course, those people who are sitting in and listening to all the minute conversations that you guys are having, it just opens up so much more. It's really, you know, I think we've worked on this scene a couple of years ago, but there's still so much more to talk about, and every actor brings their own take on it, their own perspective. So you're going to hear lines differently. They're going to, you know, say something, bring up a point, you know, and so it never gets old, even as an observer. Yeah.
I love the specifics of the characters that we're talking about when you said Annie and Randy about Goneril and the beauty, you know,
Yeah.
somebody to appearances are very, you know, we all know that person, right?
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
we all know that, you know, that woman with a certain kind of social standing and reputation and beauty and fashion and right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so it's just, that was so helpful because I've never seen Conwell that way, but it makes perfect sense. It makes absolutely perfect sense. But I love the specificity that we're talking about of the sister dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too,
It's just
because you know
great.
we're competing with each
Just
other.
great.
But then our great competitor is Cordelia because Dad always loved her best, you know, and it's just
Yes,
fascinating.
and when you
the
bring-
family dynamics are fascinating.
When you bring Cordelia into the mix, you do see that she is so totally different from
Yes,
the two of you.
and we become allies.
Yes, I think too that and remember when we worked on that first scene with Cordelia last time when we did this, and that the whole idea of Cordelia just not able to lie, flatter, any of, she can't do it. It's not even a matter of what she desires not to do. It is not in her to do
Nature.
it. In her nature. That's right. There's that word. You know, it's just so, I mean, you almost feel ridiculous saying what a brilliant play it is, of course. But every time I work on it, these different discoveries come up. And you're right, Nathan, different actors bring something to it, you know.
That's what's wonderful about the theater. Because
and I think what's you know, not only does it create a great performance for the audience, but this is the work that you guys have to do night after night. So why not make it something really compelling and interesting for yourselves that you actually have to play like, you know, every night, rather than okay, you know, you get bored 2 weeks into it going like, yeah, I'm the evil sister, great, you know. But it's because it's like this is your work, this is what you're doing, and I think anything that can stimulate that even if the audience isn't aware of every little detail and color you're putting in, this is the work you're doing, this is how you're spending your time, so I think it brings it so much more alive for the actors too.
I just love the comma because really that just made it so fresh to me. You know, just even that mini second when what you said, Annie, about this is all I meant to say.
Yes.
But then, that leads to this thought. That's just one of the best things I've ever heard about doing Shakespeare. I'm just so sorry. I'm sorry I'm learning that so late in life, but hey.
It sucks when you get those gems and you're like, oh, that made me really good when I was 27.
Right.
Wow, that just makes it so fun to do.
Yeah.
Randy and I just did a performance for Shakespeare's birthday and had the nerve, I guess it would be called, to do Helena and Demetrius and Desdemona and Othello, you know. But the nice thing about it was that we were able to play with each other, knowing, of course, these are roles that we'd never do at this age. But it was the same thing, Lizzie, where you think, oh gosh, I wish I were, you know, 20 again just to do it.
Well, I'm taking a lot of hope from the fact that Geraldine James is about to play Rosalind at the RSC at 72.
Wow.
They have an old, they've upped everyone's age by you know, into that range.
Yes.
You just can imagine all the richness and humor and sense of play that's going to be available, because you know when you're 20 that you're not doing it right. You know that you just are the right vessel. But you know that in 20 years you'll look back with hopefully.
I think it was you that said, and I was just thinking about it the other day, just randomly, it was that by the time you learn how to play Juliet, you're too old to play her.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. That's
And
often
Romeo.
been said of that part, is that,
Yeah.
you know, people like to think that a 14-year-old student might look sweet out there, but boy, what Juliet has to do on that stage, it's very hard for a 14-year-old to be able to encompass that, you know. And that's the production that's being done all over right now. Everybody
Juliet.
seems to be glomming onto Romeo and Juliet. I'm in the midst of a, I don't know if you folks have ever heard of the Russian director Efros, Anatoly Efros. He's gone now, but he directed Randy in The Marriage at the Guthrie Theater, spoke only Russian, had a translator. But we learned more from him, I think it's fair to say, than just about any director we had ever worked. I sat in the audience watching him the whole time, but there are 3 books that he's written and about directing and about the joy of rehearsal. And but he talks about Romeo and Juliet, and he has introduced ideas about that play to me that, for instance, he talks about the nurse knowing that Lady Capulet is going to bring in the news about Paris marrying Juliet. And so when she looks for Juliet, she says, "Where is this girl? Come, oh, I can." And the mother and the nurse reminisces because they know this is the moment that we're going to give her off in marriage. It's a whole different scene than just a funny
Wow.
blusters through. And then he describes
Oh, wow. That's
yes, and then he
great.
describes Juliet on the balcony, and he says she leans her head and on the balcony and looks up, and then her arm, she leans over and just sort of swings her arm, Romeo, Romeo, so she knows nobody's seeing her, and it's this private moment that she has. The way he describes it is so beautiful that you think, I want to do this production tomorrow. I want to, you know,
Who is that? What is the name of
his
that?
name is Anatoly Efros, and he died, by the way,
Under
having been
interrogation.
after an interrogation.
During when the Soviet Union was still in full swing.
Wow.
And
That's
he,
Anatoly Efros. Can you
yeah.
still get those books?
Oh,
I
yes.
think so, yeah. But
And
very
his take on
insightful,
Seagull
when
is
he talks
incredible.
about Chekhov and when he talks about Shakespeare,
Right.
very insightful. I don't know.
Wonderful, wonderful. It just reminds
What
you
was
to
the
look
Morris
deeper.
Karnowski book that you were talking about last week?
Called
Oh.
The Actor's Eye.
Mm.
And
Can you
more,
still get that?
yeah, I think so, but it's kind of pricey. You gotta find a used copy and hunt it up. Maybe it's cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, because it hasn't been reissued and
It was only issued in paperback, so the
badly done.
bindings broke, and there are very few of them, I think, available. I think you can get, the cheapest I've seen it is about $35 now. But it's a wonderful book because it's Morris teaching a class.
Classic.
And so they ask him questions and he answers them, but he's so insightful, again, about all these different roles and an approach to acting, mostly Shakespeare, though, I think, it's right, Randy, in it.
Well, even when he was with the group theater, he was a lover of the classics, and in fact, when the group theater ended, they were in rehearsal for Three Sisters. I think Clifford Odets had written an adaptation of Three Sisters and they were preparing it, but then it closed up. And then he was blacklisted during the McCarthy era, and then was invited by John Houseman to go to the Stratford, Connecticut Shakespeare Festival to be a part of their season. And that's when he did his Shylock, and he did Lear, and he did all kinds of roles with them for years in that department. But what he brought to Shakespeare was the work that they had done with the group theater, in trying to find an American style and a way of getting into a script. That what kind of acting. And
then his wife, Phoebe Brand, taught Shakespeare and tried to take what he did on stage and turn it into a way of working with actors. She was just magnificent to work with.
They both were.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know we have to close, but I've just noticed I went on Amazon and it is $341 for
Is
the
it
actor's
really?
eye. But there's one review and it's a 5-star review, and it's my friend's dad who used to run UMKC MFA program.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Classic.
really, really.
Full circle.
Oh, I really
Yeah.
want to, that insight about Lady Capulet and the nurse. Wow,
Beautiful, isn't it?
that would
Oh.
make that whole scene, because they're saying, oh, we're giving her away, but remember when she
Yes.
was just 5 years
Yes,
old?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So beautiful. I love that.
Yes.
And he does it with Seagull. He does it with forgot the other, he does 3 plays in that book. And the same thing happens where he just
Says,
throws something at you that you think, oh my God, I can't wait to play that. That's wonderful. You know, so nice. Have we gone over? Are we?
Yeah.
There is no
no
time
over.
limit. You can stay here for the rest of the night talking about theater.
Another enjoyable session.
Yes, thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, Randy and Annie, and thank you, Nathan.
Thank all of you guys.
Next
Yeah.
week.
Thomas,
Appreciate you
thanks
being
for
here.
bringing that script close by, Thomas, to help me.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Lizzie. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye,
Hey, you
everybody.
guys, can't
All
wait
right.
till
Next
next
week.
week.
Good night,
See you next
everyone.
week.